All right, good morning, everybody. Bitcoin bouncing just shy of the last week's low. There's a lot of stuff going on this morning. Risk markets are getting absolutely pounded into the ground. USD JPY still range bound, but looks like it's about to break out. Silver and gold both breaking out. Well, gold's not really breaking out of its sideways consolidation here, but it is definitely breaking out of the very sideways weekly candle. This is your weekly open. You've gone literally nowhere this week. You haven't even made a fresh weekly high yet, but I think that's going to change. I don't think you're going to you might make a fresh weekly high, but here's the thing. We just got Canada GDP and it was absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Canadistan, as Tom calls it. 2.4 from the last quarter. They were anticipating a big fat bird egg, and then you got a negative 0.6. That's bad. Quarter over quarter, 0.2. PPI came in slightly up. So that's a miss on PPI as well. It's consumer price inflation stuff. Basically, it's going to be a little bit of a miss there. So, obviously, the evil market makers have used all that volatility from those two newsprints to spike silver up to stop me out from, obviously, the other day where I was short here. I took profits on that trade yesterday on this candle. Why does it look so dark? I swear I feel like I hit a button on my keyboard this morning and it made all my monitors darker than they're supposed to be. Maybe it's just me, but feels darker. But anyways, let me take my morning meds, get that out of the way, and we'll get going here. I'm willing to short silver up here if it rejects this price, 92.31. There's massive 4-hour bearish divergence there. It's been building in all week. We've been waiting for silver to either break out or break down for the entire week. And although it looked like it was going to be a breakout, we saw massive bullish deltas on Wednesday, and price just could not, for whatever reason, break out. So we were anticipating it will probably do the opposite of what the dollar does. If the dollar breaks out of its range, silver and gold might fall. If dollar breaks down, silver and gold might break out and continue the uptrend. Right now, it looks like the dollar's trying to break out. When I say break out, I just simply mean that stuff right there, right? I'm not anticipating it getting all the way up into like last week's high or anything today. Even to get up here and break out of that today would be a massive move. It is possible, but we'll see. We'll see. So, it's building in a wedging formation here. Very choppy, very range bound, very sideways. Bitcoin obviously getting hammered this morning. Sell-off started at literally 4:30 in the morning. So what are they going to blame it on now? They must have pissed Jane Street off, and Jane Street came in the office this morning at 5 a.m. and flipped on the sell algo, right? They want to talk about us, we'll give them a reason to bitch. I'm just kidding. There was a trade setup that I did put in the Discord earlier this morning when STG was trading up into here. I said I wanted to sell this. If it came up here and smoked this level, I'd be putting a sell on there. Or if we close a 4-hour candle under weekly res, I would put a short on. So I am short from up there this morning. Been short on it ever since about 5 o'clock, 5:45, 6 o'clock this morning. And it's rolling over, and that's going to be because of Bitcoin, obviously. But it looked like a short. I actually was going to watch what it did last night here, but it broke out clean and just kept trucking. So I left it alone. Coming into the office this morning, I see that it had an upside continuation candle, which is good. And it was making this candle right here when I put the trade out. So this candle was white and trading up in here. So that's why I was saying, yeah, if it can stop going up here, I want to be short. So that trade is currently up pretty decently. And then I did fire off a short on silver, but I'm not sure it's going to hold before the bell. I think you're going to get another run, make another high around the bell. So be careful, don't get chopped up here. And also, if the dollar fails today, this is a legit breakout. The only bearish signal you have here is divergence. And remember, I am like kind of against divergence. I don't really believe it means anything, because the algorithm that computes the line has to diverge. It's built in as a function. So it doesn't mean that price is weak. It just means that once the algorithm gets too extended or stretched out, it has to start dividing. It has to start dividing so that way it can get back to the 50 and then start all over again. And literally that's what you did yesterday morning. You tested the 50 on the 4-hour RSI, and I said you got to be careful here in yesterday's live stream. This could be support, and it ended up being support. And now here you are. So this is a legit run. It could keep going. I just be careful. Like, I'm only willing to short here if it rejects here, right? As long as it's trading above that price, I do not want to be short. And a dollar bullish move would almost be required. I need to see dollar strength today in order for me to even want to put the trade on. As of right now, we do have dollar strength. We are trading above resistance. So as long as we're trading above the prior 4-hour swing high and showing an upside trend continuation move on the DXY, then I'm willing to short silver. If the dollar falls back under this level here, then silver probably keeps going. But mark that on your chart if you're interested in trading silver today. It is Friday. Generally on Fridays, they're light sessions for us because there just ain't much. Usually there just ain't much stuff going on, right? On Friday, because it's quiet, liquidity's thin, and all that stuff. But today it's the opposite. Today the markets are screaming. Nvidia is pushing to the downside here. Yesterday it sold off hard for the first couple minutes. Then it basically traded sideways with a heavy price action yesterday going into the end of the bell. Gapped up slightly this morning, rolled over. Nvidia looks pretty bad here. It looks like a failed breakout, a fresh year high, and then an instant heavy rejection. That screams swing high failure formation, and that's what we've been getting a lot out of these things. You're back under the 200 here. You're into a support zone, but you got back down here in one day. I really wish I would have shorted 4-hour res yesterday, but I didn't. Well, I think because it was already down. I think there was a valid reason. And then Tesla obviously just didn't give us the setup that I was looking for. I was looking for a midpoint check on this candle yesterday before it broke down so hard. And then obviously I'm not going to look for fresh shorts on the lows. That's not how I roll. If I'm anticipating a downside push, I want to get in on that downside push on an upswing. So anywhere in here or here would have been good shorts. This day would have been a good short. It was just too much momentum for me to short. And then I was waiting for a retest of this level on the 5-minute chart. We never got it. We never got it. It was literally one 5-minute spike right here, and then it rolled over. I guess it did, but when we came back over to look at Tesla, it was already down here doing this stuff. So it really never gave me what I wanted. But I did set a limit sell there. It just never got filled. In fact, I might have to cancel that. It might still be open. I don't know. Let me look. Yeah, there is. It is. One open order. Oh, never mind. I do not have that Tesla trade still out there. Okay, good. Yeah, so what are we going to do here? Well, like I said, I need to see what the dollar does. I already have the short on silver, but I'm willing to eat a stop on it, obviously. I have a very tight stop loss out. It's just at the day high. And I don't really know how that GDP number is going to affect dollar CAD, but it seems like it would be a bullish breakout. So if dollar CAD can hold 4-hour support, I'll look for a long on it. Obviously, I'm not wanting to short this today. It's bullish, as you can see on the deltas. Price action's bullish. It did a 4-hour demand retest and it was perfect, so don't really want to short that. Dollar CAD is very choppy here this morning. Ooh, it looks more bearish than bullish, so I don't know. That's a higher high, so if it can hold the open or 4-hour support, I might look for longs here. I don't like the deltas for longs. I don't like the 4-hour structure for longs. I don't like the yearly open for longs. I really don't like this long. I don't like getting long assets that I have a macro bearish bias on. Yeah. And I really don't want to buy Bitcoin unless it liquidates. I wanted to buy it here or daily support, but when it broke down through here and then rolled back over, I didn't like that. And then it just felt heavy all morning. I was anticipating a bounce to come, but I was literally hoping that this wick would come down here and smoke last week's low, because that would literally liquidate every long from this week and last week. And not really, right? Anybody that got long this week, they might not get liquidated, but it's a pretty good rule of thumb, right? You're trading under the prior week's low. It feels like it could go lower. So I was just wanting a retest of it. And I mean, on a 5-minute chart, that is a freaking retest. I just did not fire the long. I guess I was thinking that this low was under this week's low as well, and it obviously is not. So this isn't a liquidation at all. So I might have missed the only opportunity. I don't know. We'll see what it does today. It doesn't feel bullish. It doesn't feel bullish at all. But there's been this weird little thing happening a couple times, like in the past few weeks. I've noticed that S&P and dollar have kind of been trading together, and the same with Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin bullish on a day that the dollar is bullish. It just doesn't make sense to me, but that has happened. But I mean, I can't justify chasing Bitcoin in a long all the way up here. If it comes back, makes a fresh day low, today's low, and then starts to bounce like at the bell, then I'll look for potential longs. But I would anticipate heavy sell side pressure on the bell or at the bell. If we don't get heavy sell side pressure today at the bell, I'm going to be wrong on this trade. It is a nice rejection, and I am up enough to take profits on it right now if I wanted to, but it won't be a perfect $300 trade. It would be like a 260, 270. And this week's a good week, so it's really just extra. So I'm not really concerned with setting in it, make it to wait on a breakdown or anything like that. I'll just take what I got here. If it does appear like that's going, because this is the range. This candle dominates the daily range. Here, you can see it better. on the small time frames. Here, I'll just plop this up and turn on the SVP. So you can see today's range is really these two candles. But this candle here dominates it. It's the majority piece of the daily range. So this is where resistance is. This is where support is. So it makes sense that it's bouncing from here. Also, it's a breakout of the 200. This would be considered a retest and all that. So I don't know that I want to even hold it if it gets back above the midpoint, to be honest with you. Let's see if it can make a fresh hour high. If it can, then maybe I'll just take profits on it. But I would love to see it stay well within this candle's range and then just break down at the bell. That would be good. That would be better. But it hasn't really done anything. It had that move, a 2-day trend, when I shorted it on Sunday. I shorted it here on Sunday. It had a downside move and a downside continuation day. I closed it on this day, but over here, I think, then it broke out. So very choppy, very, very ugly. But the reasoning for the trade is this. As long as it's trading under this or liquidates it and fails, I can be short because they're still trading inside the prior week's range. Trading above the prior week's range, we don't want to look for shorts like what we're doing on silver right now. Generally speaking, that is not a short trade, right? Because you are currently trending up. It is absolutely trending to the upside here. So it is generally not something you want to short. It's the highest weekly candle since the bail, since everybody sold or whatever, you lost demand up there or whatever. So if it is going to roll over, it does make sense that it could do so here. I just think you absolutely need dollar strength. Other than that, there is no short signal here. Like literally nothing. Just bearish div. That ain't good enough. There has to be a reason. There has to be, like, I generally, if I'm looking for shorts, I want to short a weak asset or an asset that is failing to break out. Good morning, everybody. Wait a minute. Why is there so many people here? Oh, shit. Well, it's public. That's why. Got it. That's okay. We're fine with it. That's my bad, though. But yeah, so be careful if you're looking for silver shorts. You shouldn't really be. All right. Yeah, that's a good close on gold. It's a breakout, close above. This would be a buying op if it were to come back into 4-hour support. Not 4-hour support. In this scenario, it'd be considered a demand candle. But that is where we would be looking to be a buyer. If we were looking to buy something because of the breakout. I just can't justify buying it up at these prices. When I look at gold, I look at it as an investment, not as a trade. It's like a pair of jeans, right? If I had to go to work and these were work jeans that I have to wear to work, I can't justify buying them right now. They're too expensive. But there's a lot of momentum. You could not make lower lows all week long. It was very choppy, very boring range. I get it. Now it's making a move, so we'll see what it does. Same for silver. $92 an ounce. Are you kidding me? I bought silver at $20 an ounce 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago, right? It's just massively volatile. So be careful. It's literally not a sell. Zcash broke down with Bitcoin this morning. That's a fresh breakdown. You're making fresh weekly lows here. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to be said here. There's not a trade set up here. We'll keep an eye on USD CAD. If it can hold 4-hour support, we'll look for longs on that. I can't short Nvidia. It's already breaking down. Tesla's already breaking down. Maybe it tests. Well, I don't like it. You're on the weekly lows down here on Tesla. You had a very strong Tuesday. That's essentially what gave you your range. You're not on weekly lows. This would be your weekly low right there. So never mind. That's like a midpoint weekly retest. So I don't want to short here. All right. Dollar falling back under where I do want to see it break back under. Let's go, dollar bulls. What's wrong with you? All right. Zcash, Pingu's falling into support here. SPX, we won't get that data till the bell opens. I guess we could put on the futures chart. I don't want to look at CFDs on FX or Forex.com because they don't provide data. For whatever reason, Forex.com views data as proprietary data. I don't know why. Every other exchange on planet Earth gives data on volumes. Bonk also breaking down. That is going to be last week's open. With the 1900-hour candle on Sunday. There we go. So rejection at the weekly open, rejection at the monthly VWAP. Makes sense. Fartcoin had a nice move, breakout, closed above, and then puked. Classic. ETH looks okay here on the weekly range. If it can hold here, it looks okay. As of right now, as long as you're above 1957, you're a bullish engulfing weekly candle. So it would look good going into next week if it can hold this price. Same scenario as on Bitcoin, though. Maybe if it can retest last week's low and hold, that would be about as low as I would want to be a buyer. I mean, I wouldn't buy it today if it got down there. It would be too much momentum to the downside. So kind of like right here is where Ethereum needs to hold. See, whenever you get a bullish breakout, for me, I don't know how other analysts feel about this kind of price action, but you're heavily bearish. You're massively bearish. So whenever you get a bullish rally, it can be like a short covering rally. And generally speaking, they can put shorts back on if they want. You know what I mean? So it makes it difficult if I don't see continuation off of a bullish rally to be a buyer in a bear market. Because like especially if you look at deltas, you can see how few and far the daily bullish deltas are in between one another. So you get like one bullish day in an entire week, and then every other day is just heavy selling pressure. To me, that doesn't speak of strength. Oh, something's going on here again with OBS. I do not understand what the issue is. Speed tests were golden this morning. I mean, yeah, that can hold a YouTube stream easily. So it's got to be OBS. All right, we got another 15 minutes to the bell. We'll see if Bitcoin can make a fresh day low and bounce. We will keep our eyes on gold and silver this morning. I don't think there's a trade on these SPOOs because it's already down on the daily lows. When we look for shorts, we generally want to be shorting day highs or prior day highs. We don't want to be shorting stuff on the lows. We're not breakdown sellers or breakout buyers, generally speaking. If the trend and momentum is strong enough or early in on the trend breakout, we will occasionally buy stocks for breakout trades. But like I said, it has to be early in the trend, early in the breakout, not late. Gold and silver are extremely late. They're diverging from their oscillators, so I don't want to be a buyer. Well, if it breaks back out or stops me out up here, I will probably leave it alone for the day. So made a little bit of money on the other day, and I currently have these two positions open. Like I said, STG's already pretty much worked out. So all I need to do there is just take profits, and then we'll see what happens with gold. If I don't get involved in Bitcoin and silver does reject these prices today, I might add to this position because it is severely underpositioned. It's underpositioned for a reason. With 20x leverage, you got to get the stop up. And I only risk $30 per scalp. That's how I do it, to try to make 300, right? So even on this trade, it's the same scenario. When I took the short this morning, which I don't have a stop loss out on it, but if I did, it would only be like $30. Very tight. If the asset is not doing what I want it to do quickly, then I don't want to be in the asset. It's just a easier way for me to mitigate risk. Generally speaking, when I'm right on direction, the trade starts to work out quickly. And you can see how it played out this morning. I'm literally watching it trade up into the area that I am looking for the short. Right? So I'm literally watching it. I'm seeing volume build up here. Nice, thick, very big volumes traded. Like this range is pretty big. The daily range, 70% of all the volume traded today traded up here. That tells me that there's a lot of interest up here. So if the bulls are in control of it, you would simply see upside continuation. Look at that. Did that not just get brighter? I swear to God, I'm losing my mind. Yeah, it just got brighter. Anyways, so this is the tool that was causing me to be blind. So yeah, if I'm watching an area, we're trading up into it, you're seeing volumes build up nice and good. So you know there's a lot of activity happening at the price that you like. So if the bulls are going to be in control, you get a shallow pullback. And then price start liquidating and playing around with the highs, right? You might pull back down and then, but eventually it's going to start trending up. It's going to go higher, especially if the interest is this big. Because generally speaking, the POC is going to potentially end the day in the middle of the range. So if you're building the POC at here, it needs to start to trend or I'm going to short it, especially on a very weak asset. So, and then literally within 10 minutes of me putting the risk on, prices started to fade. They started to fade, sideways, fade. That's what I want to see. So if I put the short on and then price just squiggles back and forth for a long time, an hour goes by, then another hour, and it's still doing this, most likely I'm wrong. So there's no point in even risking money at that point. Sometimes I've gotten out of stuff and then it's went on to work, but it has also saved me many times. Sometimes I've gotten out and it would have ended up stopping me out. You just have to mitigate risk the best way you can in this business. And that's just the way that I like to do it. All right, so let's answer some questions. What's happening, people? What's up, Alex? Fibs RS, good morning. Boar Bull, hi all. Good morning, LMG. The Market Cowboy. What song is jamming in the background? It's just this thing here. I have a subscription through Epidemic Sound, and it's just, I pulled up the rock genre. So I'll just let this play, and then I'll flip it back over to my favorites. I just get tired of listening to the same stuff every day. Okay, so dollar CAD is breaking down. This is 4-hour support. This is where I want to see it hold. Like I said, I don't like the deltas. They're sub-neutral. Whenever they're sub-neutral, that means the sellers are more aggressive. I can see why the sellers would be more aggressive today. I really can. So it looks like you just got a little bit of volatility off of that GDP. The Canadian GDP, negative. It was bad. So I guess the sellers showed up here. I am not going to buy it if it's trading under support, because your low day is right there. So if you're trading under the low day, you're probably looking to liquidate yesterday. So we'll see what happens if that occurs. But if we have a weak dollar, silver's probably going to break. Dollar is weakening here. I want to see it break out. This is a breakout above the day high. Nope. This is, yeah, that's Thursday's high. 1800 is when this thing fires up. So yeah, you got to break out above the daily high. I want to see upside continuation. Could be just a deep correction, but this feels like a fake out. We'll see. But yeah, I don't want to hold silver shorts if we're trading under this on the dollar. Have a macro, oh sorry, I didn't mean to yell in the mic, but I have a macro bearish bias on this, so it's hard to get bullish on it. But at least on the near term time frames, the 4-hour, your structure has reverted back to at least up. And then right here is your daily 21 exponential. You're still way under the weekly 21, so the weekly still keeps me in that macro bearish dollar bias. But when you start closing days above the day 21, you, and the way my strategy works, you can start looking for longs. But obviously the 200's way up here. So maybe the DXY wants to retest these higher prices before rolling over. Maybe the dollar is extremely overcrowded to the short side, and it just has to go up. We don't know. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what's going on in the macro and stuff. Price is king. Price is king. Very choppy today. But I got dollar CAD or CAD USD versus CAD pulled up on my other monitor. I'll keep an eye on it. If it does hold support, maybe we'll look for the bid, but it is kind of right now, it's losing the day 21. So the daily 21 is going to be roughly, if we take out yesterday's low, which it looks like it's getting ready to do, the daily 21 will be roughly around the midpoint of today's range. We view that in this community as a legit break. If the midpoint is, at the candle's midpoint, then that's a legit break. This would be a legit breakdown if it closes like that. This would be the first daily candle close under support. Oh, it could be a trap too, but we won't know if it's a trap until Monday. So I don't love the idea of looking for the long, anticipating a trap when you have a fresh breakdown, especially when the breakdown is in the direction of the trend. And this is in the direction of the trend. The trend is your friend. So Bitcoin's still not testing today's low yet. There are other reasons that could justify Bitcoin longs today. If we look at it on the daily time frame, I'm trying not to whiz the chart around so fast for people on mobile and tablets, but I'll do my best. Excuse me. You're basically testing this breakout day's mid. You're obviously under the mid. You're probably closer to the 618. And that daily candle obviously dominates the weekly range. So this is about where we would want to see support come in. If you look to the left over here, you've got two daily closes here and here. These are both potential supports, but price needs to hold. So it's hard to justify longs today. You did get a retest of the daily 21 EMA on this day. So, I mean, if that is the mean, you have reverted to the mean. The last time you tested it was here, and look what happened after. So, I know it doesn't feel like Bitcoin could do that again, especially if you are a maxi, right? If you love Bitcoin and all that, it doesn't feel like you could see something like that again, but I got news for you. You can. You can. It has retested to 21. It has failed. So we definitely want to see these higher low supports hold. Otherwise, it's going to feel like the sellers have got it again. And with all the people talking crap about Jane Street this week, you know what I mean? Looks like they have flipped it on. It's probably, I would be like, if I owned or ran Jane Street, I'd be like, them sorry bastards, I haven't even been selling Bitcoin. Well, I'm going to today. We're going to get them back. Make them regret ever bad-mouthing us. I'm just kidding. Just making some fun. But it was very weak this morning. Very heavy. The bell just rang a minute ago. So let's see what they got here. Oops, wrong one. Good morning. What song? Oh, yeah, read that. Verdict on long setup till lunch tomorrow. Short-term macro. Looking more and more like we need to go long. Highest EV flip now is defensive to aggressive. Bitcoin long on race. Yeah, I mean, it feels to me like the shorts would be played out a bit here, but that 21 retest kind of changes the dynamic for me. So like in February, if you look at February's range as a monthly range, what is today the last day? Tomorrow's the last day. Okay. So your monthly range is going to be complete tomorrow, end of day. You'll have a new monthly candle tomorrow at 8 or 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Bitcoin. You'll have the March open. And it'll be on a Saturday, but it is what it is. So the range is played out pretty much. So if I'm looking for positions here on Bitcoin, it is time to start looking for positions going into a new month. Because if Bitcoin has experienced all the weakness it's going to, there is a potential that it opens and then just trades higher. Opens a new monthly range. This range has been played out. You've retested, I didn't want to go into that, but you've retested the monthly range midpoint or the volume weighted average price many, many times. And many, many times that has held as resistance. So for me to be a seller in March, I would need to see weakness today for sure. And what I've seen today isn't enough. So I'm kind of like at this odd place where yeah, we can sell Bitcoin again because it has retested the 21, but what if the 21 isn't the mean? What if it's the 200? If you remember, Bitcoin got almost 3 standard deviations away from the 200 on this low. It was the biggest delta ever on Bitcoin's entire history. It fell further away from the 200-day moving average, the EMA, than it ever has before. So if this is the mean, then I really don't want to be a seller down here, because if you look at this in terms of deviations, you're still more than 2.5 standard deviations off of that average. So looking for fresh shorts does not really make sense for me. But if the 21 is the mean, ooh, it can take off to the downside again from here. And I guess we'll find out as the bell has rung. Yeah, you're breaking down on USD CAD. So it looks like this spike up on DXY was a swing high failure. So this is going, if I definitely want to see daily closes back under. I want this range to be exhausted. I want to see the dollar get away from this range. I don't care if it wants to be bullish. I'm fine with that. If it wants to be bearish, I'm fine with that. It's just I need a direction on the dollar. If I don't have that, it's going to make a lot of other next week positions more difficult. Silver rejecting this high for now. Very strong bullish deltas here. Retesting this week's high. So if this ends up being support, look out. It could finish the day off strong. You have the volume for it. I wouldn't be a buyer here. I'm going to stick to the short side for now. But yeah, we'll see what it does. I should have looked to add on this open because it just opened 6 minutes ago, but I was too busy jamming the mouth. Because I don't think I have a big enough position on to matter unless silver has some ungodly move today, which doesn't look like it's structured for that. It looks like it's structured to run. So this line is a little bit further than the midpoint on the 4 hour. So we'll know pretty soon. There's only an hour and 22 minutes left on this candle. So we'll know pretty soon whether or not it wants to test higher prices. Because if it stays well above the midpoint of this 4 hour range, then there's a really good chance that you're seeing demand creep in at higher prices. If we break down from this and get a deep push, that would look nice. Then the very next place to look for the retest is going to be the opening 4 hour push. So really and truly, silver could come all the way down here and still remain bullish today. As this is your range. Yeah, that's a 7 a.m. open. So silver's definitely in play here today. You're up 3.4% on silver, up 0.7% on gold. Very tight weekly range. I'm assuming your breakout traders are seeing all this data and loving what they're seeing. It's that divergence that has me cautious. This was earlier in the session or earlier in the break, then we would be long too. Yeah, S&P looks rough here, man. Looks rough. You just got a POC switch. That could be good. They could be buying. Right here, we had a lot of wicks. Wick. So this was clearly a big level. So I'm assuming we're probably going to fill some of that back volume up. You can see how it's all yellow. That doesn't mean that people were looking for breakdown sells. It literally means people were long from the prior day. So when it broke down through these swing lows, it triggered all sell orders because those are stop losses. Those are your longs getting smoked. The price will probably, if it doesn't come back up in here and try to like backfill this stuff, you could see a nasty down day today. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the 5-minute chart. You can't. There's some bids in it. There's some buys happening there. Just on the 4-hour, it hasn't filled in yet. But of course people are buying down here. It's the open. At least you're not ticking up a point with each tick, so that's nice. VIX is trading at 21.22 right now. 21.32. It's trading above last week's close. So if we close above 20.59 today, you're going to have a higher weekly close on the VIX again. And then another post was made today by Subu Trades on the XLK. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but there's short interest. Oh, I can just type in his name, dumbass. Look at this. It's literally insane. And this is the highest it's been in 10 years. And we've went through 2 bear markets since then. This is the highest it's been in 10 years. There is massive short interest in the tech sector. Generally, I don't want to be short when that's a scenario, but it looks like they might be on the right side of the trade here. USD Swissy breaking down. Yeah, so it looks like dollar weakness today. Damn it. That's not going to help the silver short. All right. So here's your XLK. You are currently breaking down out of a trend line, but clearly these lows are going to be... The lows are always more relevant to me than a trend line, but it is there. Last week's low all the way down here. You're trading under the open. It'll be interesting to see if they can get a push into last week's low. So this would, like, people would be trading this for a breakdown. And so far, they are right. That's going to be this week's low. STG still refusing to break down. If Bitcoin does make that fresh day low, which it looks like it's about to, then STG probably will break down. And I'm only saying that for my community specifically, because I alerted the trade this morning. I don't know if anybody's in it, but here is that trade setup if you want to see. So you can see where it was when I took the short. It was at weekly res. It is a very thinly traded asset. So it was right here where I put the short on. Very thinly traded. On weeks, it's only traded like 252,000 contracts. That's thin markets. You can see how thin it is because of the candles. They just like kind of gap and glitch around. I don't usually trade markets like this, but it was a good setup. But if Bitcoin bounces, then STG probably will not break down. I think dollar weakness could ultimately help give Bitcoin a bid. I could be wrong about that, but that's why I want the dollar to break down. Because ultimately I do want Bitcoin to find a bottom and start to trend back to the upside. And the reasoning for that, obviously I can make money on Bitcoin when it's going down too. It doesn't, like, I'm a trader, it doesn't matter to me, but it matters to a lot of people that don't trade, that do own and hold long-term Bitcoin positions. So obviously I want Bitcoin to go up for those people. It's not ever good. It is for traders. Obviously we make money when markets are extremely volatile, but it isn't for normies that don't trade. So obviously I just prefer when assets are trending up. It's just easier for people to make money and all that good stuff. When markets get annihilated like this, it puts a hurt on a lot of people. And I don't like that. It kind of makes me feel greasy and dirty to make money when everybody else is suffering. But everybody else can learn this too. I mean, I'm not special. With today's tech, you can literally throw a trade on at work. It's simple. Technology is amazing. I saw a tweet the other day. Tom, what's his name? I think it's Tom Dandy. Probably getting his name wrong, but he's an old school trader that I follow. He posted a picture, show me your trading setup the other day, and obviously a lot of people posted nice looking trading setups, you know, monitors and clean desks and stuff. And then one guy posted a picture from the front seat of a dump truck at the junkyard. A homeboy with a monitor, but it was a tablet. So homeboy is literally watching the markets while he's waiting his turn to get filled up. That's the kind of stuff I love to see, because if that person continues on this road and starts convincing himself he will be able to do it, if he trades or manages risk the right way, he can change his life. That was the best setup that I saw out of all those pictures. It was phenomenal. I loved it. That's what I want to see. I want to see people like that changing their lives, working hard to do it. Time, with enough time, you can do it. You can do it. You just need 1 or 2 good setups a year, and you can do it. All right. So Bitcoin's heading lower. STG's bouncing. Silver is pulling away from the high. But this is going to be a key area for support for breakout buyers. I really don't care about the EMAs. I just forget to turn them off. We already know silver is bullish. It's bullish on all time frames. Your 21 is trending above the 200. That is bullish, and you're well above it on the daily. That is also bullish. You're above the weekly high. That is bullish. That's the very definition of bullish. So your bullish breakout buyers today are obviously looking to pick up support. Being a seller on this trade is very dangerous. But there is massive divergence on it. Divergence isn't like the best signal. Sometimes it's a good signal, but it isn't always work out. And since dollar is weakening, that's the thing, right? Dollar is weakening. If the dollar continues to roll over today, which it seems to be trying to find a little bit of support here, but if it continues to roll over, that's going to help silver and gold. So like if you're looking at this candle, it's a 4-hour candle. I know it's a high time frame for most people, but when someone such as myself looks at this, I don't see failure here. I see a clean breakout and a very small inside range candle. To be fair, there's 3 hours left on this candle. So it's early in the session. But for me, a rejection would be you would be way under here. You would need to be testing these lows for me to think that my short trade's going to work. As long as it's trading above this, like my short is being threatened. And it doesn't need to go very much higher to stop me and a lot of other very strong levered up traders out. Because I'm not the only one that was looking for this strategy. It's literally a mean reversion strategy, right? The liquidation fail. It doesn't matter if it's up or down. If you're liquidating a prior swing high or a prior swing low and you fail to put in continuation, that's a liquidation break or a reversion strategy. The problem with gold is it was side and silver is they were both sideways all week. So you could see 3 4-hour candles today to the upside. You're not stretched out here. Yes, you did liquidate an old weekly prior high, but if you fib this range, right, you're barely above the high. You could go, in theory, a measured move on silver today would look like this. So an actual upside target to put shorts on for mean reversion would be up here at 97.38. So looking for a mean reversion strategy on a fresh breakout does not make sense. Well, we'll see what it does. Sometimes I can't help myself. I have to put it on. But I'm not going to take too many shots at it for sure. All right, let's see. Someone's asking a question. Oh, never mind. Okay. Good morning, Tom. Morning. Can you have a look at Circle? Yeah, we'll look at Circle. I do have a stop loss out on that, so if it does hit me, I will tell you. XLK bouncing. Circle had an absolute phenomenal day yesterday. That's going to be because of Bitcoin. So it's going to need Bitcoin to remain bullish for it to do so as well. You do have a 21,200 cross. It's not really that like groundbreaking or anything because it's on a small time frame, but I mean, yeah, theoretically you would want to see the midpoint of this range hold, right? So for support, I know we were watching monthly swings down here, but intraday, like today or going into next week, we would want to see like this area hold on a retest. I don't know what that price is because for whatever reason, my labels. So 73.35. We would want to see this area hold at the lowest $69. So if you lose this area, this bounce right here is completely faded, which wouldn't be good. It doesn't mean the uptrend is over, but generally speaking, for upside continuation to happen, we only want to see midpoints or a little deeper than midpoint corrections and then rallies out of that area. The USD CAD did liquidate both of those swing lows, which is just yesterday's low. We were watching these lows here. It is bouncing a little bit, but that is definitely a trend continuation candle. So this candle's got a lot of work to do to put me back in the dollar breakout camp. In fact, I probably wouldn't have a problem shorting a 4-hour supply test with what this is currently done today. It's very sideways, very choppy. So I would imagine sellers are going to be right here. I'm not going to take the trade, obviously, because you're going into the weekend. You're going to get charged for 2 days of nothing, in a sense, to be in the position. So I'll just wait until next week to see what it does. But if I thought it could make a lower low today, like if this was Wednesday or Tuesday or something like that, I would have no trouble shorting this level. But because it's Friday, I'm going to leave it alone. But yeah, this is definitely a trend continuation candle. It would need to close as a bullish engulfing to stop me from thinking that you're probably going to see more downside. But I mean, it is rebounding kind of hard here. A lot of games are played in the Forex market. Could it stop out both sides of the day and then take off in the real direction? Absolutely it can. We see it happen all the time. But generally speaking, whenever you make a fresh day high like this and then instantly go back down and make a fresh day low, that is usually a bearish sign, not a bullish sign. But I don't have any data to like give you like a percentage or probabilities of that statement. Unfortunately, it's just something that I've noticed a lot in my time as watching these charts. Generally speaking, whenever you do that, you want to be positioned in that direction. And we have literally everything here telling us that this is a shortable move, even though this is a very aggressive bounce. It still looks good for downside continuation. It feels like, yeah, that's wrong. That's why. That value area should be much wider. There we go. So yeah, I would look at this as just a value area low retest. It still feels like downside would be the right trade to make on this. Oh, I guess we could try 1.3, 6689. I'll limit. I don't know if I'll get filled, but I'll set it there and see what happens. And stop loss would just be a higher high on the 4-hour chart. So like if you were setting this trade up, it's Friday, so please mind your risk. It would be something like this. Just right above the prior 4-hour swing high, because if you take that out, it's doing something else, right? And you would want to be within the low of day. So if it's a 2-to-1 risk to reward and your take profit is slightly above the low, that would be the setup, right? The one caveat that I don't like, obviously, is this higher high, but you did make a lower low. So if you're looking at the lows, there's the low, lower low, lower low, lower low. Now, obviously, I don't know if you'll see continuation or not. This is a big level here, the daily 21 exponential. There's going to be a lot of games played around this. But in theory, you have everything you need for downside continuation. The exponentials look good for downside trends. The volume looks good for downside trends. Even the intraday point of control looks good for downside trend. The only thing that doesn't look good for a downside trend right now is the small time frame candlestick. I don't know how GDP would affect Canadian dollar or the loonie. I don't know how, like, what it should do on that bad news. It seems like bad news would be bad for Canadian dollar. But if we look at the currency futures, you can see that Canadian dollar is up 0.14% and the US dollar is down 0.02. So it's literally Canadian dollar strength that is forcing this downside move. All right. Now, I don't have futures data on these charts, so these quotes are probably lagged by 15 minutes. I have futures data on 2 other platforms. That's why I don't pay extra money for data on this platform. But I would feel confident that the trend is pretty much situated here. So it feels like that would be a valid trade to take. We'll see. I got the limit order set. If I get filled, I'll eat a stop or I will get paid. One or the other will happen. I didn't know I was publicly live. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be looking to enter new trades today. It's Friday, the end of the week. My week starts next week, tomorrow. So usually I want to be exiting positions today. I don't want to be putting on new positions. So we'll trade it. I don't mind. All right. S&P bouncing pretty hard down here. Like I said, big volumes down here. You're under prior day lows. So it's just been so choppy. I wouldn't expect a trending day on this either. Like, unless something seriously bad has happened. I checked all of the defense companies already this morning, and we're not seeing any spikes there. So there's, like, Boeing. We were looking at Boeing yesterday, and it's down. It closed above the level we wanted to see it close above, but you're currently trading under that level today. So you're not seeing big spikes on any of these. These are all normal numbers. So it's not like there's a war going on or anything. So it would have to be market related news that's causing this potentially. And the S&P 500 is already down 0.84% today. So you're down 58 points right here on the S&P, on the cash market. This is generally about on a normal volatility day, the VIX is elevated. So you could see much lower prices, but like given normal volatilities, like a normal range day for the S&P 500, you're right on the edge of that. So that's why you're seeing buyers show up here, because people know these numbers like the back of their hands, like the same way that I do. I don't even need to look at the S&P chart. If it's down 55 and I feel like it could bounce, I could take a long just knowing that info right there, because I know that's pretty much more than one standard deviation of a move for this asset. So you're pretty already extended. I wouldn't be putting on new shorts at these prices. That's basically all I'm saying. So it makes sense that we're seeing a bounce. You can also look, all these candle bodies essentially cut it off. So that's support until you start closing candles below it. That is support. Just like this one was support when price traded down into it. That's where your buyers showed up. Even here, traded down into it, that's where the buyers show up, because they know that is potentially support. So it makes sense that we're seeing a bounce here. If the VIX continues to expand today, then you could see a nasty close under. But just be careful taking shorts like right here. It's not a trade I would take. In my opinion, the move has already happened. I would have been trying to take profits on these levels, at these levels. Generally, that's how I operate. Big bounce here this morning on the S&P. So from low to high, that's a 32-point move. From this low to that high, that's 30 points. A general normal volatility range trade for me on the SPOOs is 10 points. So you can see it is moving. It is moving aggressively today. That's a 30-point move. So there is scalps being taken everywhere. People are getting paid. Bitcoin bouncing, but holding resistance this low in the range. I don't like that. Got a question about your 3 candle rule. If the last 3 days have been bearish, but the daily trend is bullish, would you look for shorts or only focus on the longs? So in that scenario, I would want to know where the 21 exponential moving average is. So if you've had 3 days in a row bearish, but the asset is bullish, it could potentially be a long based on, depending on, where the range is, where the weekly range is, where the 21 is, stuff like that. But going into that day, that the prior 2 days have been weak. So I guess you could theoretically look for shorts going into that 3rd day, looking for trend continuation. At any point, that near-term 2-day trend can get broken. We see it all the time. But yeah, that's why I want to look at other tools too, generally speaking. But yeah, I guess you could theoretically still put on a short. Yeah. Like STG today, yesterday, it closed up, right? It opened down here and closed up. So that's an up closing day. That's 1 day bullish. And then today was bullish. So looking for shorts going by just looking back 3 days wouldn't really make sense here, would it? So, I mean, there's always exceptions to every rule. if that makes sense. There's always exceptions to every rule. But generally when I'm referring to like a 3-bar play, then I want to, like, this was an up day, this was an inside day, then coming into the open of this day, I would probably have more of a bullish bias, looking at this as expansion, this day as a pullback, and then looking for this day to give you expansion. That's kind of what I mean by the 3-bar play. So you would be looking for that, this, and then the third day to give you that break or expansion higher. So something like this. But your question is if you've been trending up, like it's an uptrend, and then you get 2 days of bearish, can you look for shorts on this third day? The answer is yeah. Yeah, if you're trading under this day's open, or if there's a wick on that daily candle, if you're trading under this price and this price, then yeah, those are definitely levels that you could look to put risk on. So hopefully I've answered, hopefully you understand what I'm saying. You could definitely put shorts on here or here if you are anticipating that this day is going to be a down day. Right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm about to get stopped out on silver. I did not get filled on USD CAD, but your take profit's already been hit. I mean, I did not get filled. Here's that position. It's still sitting there looking at me all dumb. Like, what did I do wrong, Daddy? You didn't put up the coffee like I asked you to. No, I'm kidding. I didn't get filled because it didn't get up there. If we look at the 5-minute, you can see it clearly did not get up into my limit order. And then secondarily, there's a spread here because this is a very small account. It's a spread account. So you would actually need to see price push above my limit sell by 2.5 pips to even get filled. I did not get filled. It's okay. I didn't really want to trade today. But yeah, there it is. Take profit would have been hit. There's your fresh day low, and it gave you a fresh day low with steam. So yeah, I'm assuming this silver position's getting stopped. Yeah, it's just a matter of time here now. Yeah, if you're short silver at the high or the previous high, you're probably about to get smoked. The dollar's weak. When the dollar's weak, this looks like a good legit breakout here. So gold and silver have been boring all week, refusing to break down or refusing to break out, and now are breaking to the upside. I wish I would have been looking for longs this week on gold and silver. I just felt like the dollar could break out. And that kind of had me like, not really wanting to put on long trades. Plus, they're very expensive. But price doesn't matter in a trend. It just doesn't matter in a trend. I kind of want to keep an eye on silver, S&P here, because if the dollar, since the dollar is breaking down, I'd be interested to see what this is going to do. I can't put this, I guess I probably could put a similar position on here, but there's no setup like there was on USD CAD. But same scenario, this is a breakdown. You're into support, so your take profit would have to be one of these two levels, no matter where you put the short on in this range today. So low, lower low, lower low. So if you're looking for trend continuation today or lower prices on the SPOOs, you could put positions on here or potentially there. as I've heard some YouTubers refer to that as an inefficiency zone. It's just a prior wick low. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but it is what it is. All right, now POC has shifted again. Now that's on the 4 hour, but we already know it shifted down here. These are big volumes. So if it does roll over, it could be a nasty day. Big trades taken down here, lots of positioning. So if it does tag this and reject and start to trend lower today, if you're long down here, be careful. Because a breakdown, all that volume, that will propel price lower if it starts peeling stops off. Good morning, says Truth Markets. What's up, Brandon? Gonna be a green day. Trust me, bro. Good luck. A green day on what? That can be on gold and silver. It's already a green day. It's a big green day. Huge bullish volumes. On Bitcoin, it could, but you got some work to do, as right here is your daily open. So you're going to have to get back above 67,505 to be a green day. Can Bitcoin do that? Of course it can. It did it yesterday with ease, or the day before yesterday. So it could get up here, but you got to be up here for it to close as a green day. It could. It absolutely could. It is holding support here. But pressure is definitely against you. Pressure is definitely against you. It's clearly a sell. Clearly a sell. And I mean, there are so many indicators that you can look at, and it's still going to be pretty much a sell. It's weak. It's got some work to do, but it is a pullback still. It's still just a pullback. The weekly range looks bad down here, but you're above last week's low. So as long as you're above last week's low, there is hope, right? Because at least you can say, objectively speaking, you're not trending down anymore. Objectively speaking. You're down on the week and all that good stuff, but you're above this. And because you're above that, it looks like repair. So it could go up, but it's very weak. Very weak. Your volume profile is so thick. Thank you. That's what she said. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I use just the session volume profile. You can use the high definition one if you want. What they're referring to is this right here. The session volume profile HD will give you thinner volume nodes. See that? If you want to look at it like that, you can. It's the same data, right? It's the same data. The only thing that I care about is value area high, value area low, and point of control. And I get all of that data from my session range. Yep. I get all the data I need that way. So it's just I guess it's just a personal preference. All right, so we're starting to get our move on STG here. This is good. This is what I want to see. We don't even need this on anymore. Most of the time, I already know where this stuff is. So if I have it on the charts, it's mostly just so that way people that are watching the live stream that aren't as seasoned as a trader as others can see where the day high, low, open, close is at, and the previous day ranges. Right? Because it just makes it easier for people it makes the learning process a little bit easier when you're looking at smaller time frame charts to basically know where the prior day's high and low is, because that's always going to be relevant info, especially if you're trying to be a day trader. So knowing where yesterday's open, high, low, and close is always going to be important, because it's going to give you your directional bias in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases. The only reason that I put the sell on up here instead of looking for, say, longs on a correction today is simple. This asset is bearish. So any pullbacks into higher time frame levels, I'm always going to be looking for the opposite side of that trade. It's because it traded up into last week's open that I put the sell on. Like, that is the whole reason for the trade. And because the asset is weak, it's simple. But you can definitely see you're trading well above yesterday's high, which this thing has such thin liquidity, it looks like the high is actually higher than it is, but you're still trading above yesterday's high. So theoretically speaking, this asset is still up. It is still up on the day. It's up 3.39% on a day where most all cryptos are pretty much red. There's a couple that are up, but overall, things are looking a little bit weak out there. But yeah, it's a preference. There's personal preference on that indicator. What about the downside grind? If 65.7 cracks, target deep pocket 64.8, 65.2, then liquidity sweep at 63K plus long flip low conviction yet needs reclaim. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking. What if it breaks down below those levels? Then yeah, obviously you're trending at that point. Right? You're trending at that point. But do you need to know all of those levels? Probably not. Like this one right here is going to be the very first one that is relevant and that matters. So 63.9. As long as you're trading up here, you've done nothing, really. Right? The only thing you've done today is smoked yesterday's longs. So anybody that bought Bitcoin yesterday and that were using yesterday's low as the stop loss, those are the people you've annihilated today. But that's it. This is going to be the next liquidity zone, 63.9. And then this will be the next one after that, 62.5. And then the last one is the yearly low. So those are your three liquidation zones. If you're looking for liquidation zones, those are it. All right, you got a long ways to go to get there. But I imagine sellers are going to be trying to put shorts on all the way back up to here, because today is weak. So if you do firm up today, you're going to have to fight through a couple levels of prior support. It could turn into resistance, but only time will tell. They're only intraday levels, but still, that would be the key downside target. But if we go look like at the liquidation indicator, it's probably got levels elsewhere below all swing lows. So even this week, you've got liquidity. All this is considered liquidity. It's literally every candle swing low has liquidity under it. Every single one of them. I mean, I really don't need this indicator to identify those levels, but it is helpful, I guess, to kind of visualize it for newer traders. That's a week out. A month out, there's probably not as much. Yeah, it starts to thin out a little bit. It's the yearly one that has us like, Bitcoin's probably going to bounce soon. Because you've literally smoked everything there is to smoke. So all the liquidity that you're looking at on the, 24-hour, 48-hour, all the way out to 1 week in time frame, all that liquidity has been built up since this low was put in. But if you look at the longer term chart, there really ain't anything down here. Most of the liquidity is setting overhead. And you can see that with this indicator clearly. If you go out a year, like most of the liquidity is back to the upside. You got big chunks up there to get. There's a couple places down here, but it's going to be around those prior swing lows. Like 64.7, that's not a daily swing low. I don't know why 64.7. I guess this 4-hour swing right there. So that's where the big liquidity zone is according to that indicator. So it just feels to me like there's a lot more upside risk here. Even right here, even with what we've done today, I still feel like you've pretty much exhausted the sell side. All of the liquidity that's here now is from near-term traders. Very near-term. Bitcoin, got it. Jane Street's scapegoat is pretty funny. People really believed a single market maker was holding Bitcoin underwater. People need a narrative, I guess. They just need it. Most of your larger accounts on Twitter and like your news-based accounts, that's what they do, right? That's their job. They get clicks and views and stuff like that from reporting the news. And then people that are saying, this is why Bitcoin is down, they just don't really know what they're talking about. Is it possible that Jane Street could keep prices low? Yeah, I mean, we checked that yesterday through Grok. Grok confirmed it. Yes, they are a big enough firm that theoretically, if they were proven to be doing that, that would be illegal. So obviously they're not doing it. All right. And if you say that they're doing it, they could sue you. They have a right to sue anybody that's saying that if they want to. Because if you're saying that without proof, there's laws against stuff like that. You're literally besmirching their name of a well-reputable fund. I mean, they do a lot of business with big name companies that are in this space. Or stuff like that. I mean, obviously it's already out. They already have kind of a darkness on their name because of what happened in India, right? They got kicked out of Indian markets and they had to pay a massive fine. So there's something there probably, but that's not for me to decide. But yeah, people just want a reason. They look at why their P&L is down and red, and they need to put a reason to it. The reason can't simply just be that price is lower than you bought it. Like, that's the reason your P&L is red. It has nothing to do with market makers and everybody else. They're shifting blame. Yeah. I mean, if you put the statistics that go in this space to all of the big following accounts on Twitter and the massive YouTube channels out there, 90% of retail fails in this space. So they can have 1 million followers. That doesn't mean that they know what they're doing when it comes to trading and investing. Anybody, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can put, fund manager and CEO in their bio, right? That doesn't mean that they are any good at trading or managing risk. There are a lot of them that are former risk managers that you can simply do a quick Google search and find out, yeah, this person really did work for Morgan Stanley or whatever. But there's a lot of them out there that are just, they're doing it for clicks and clicks and views, man. That's how they make their money. So for those people, they need a reason. They need a reason. We don't. Price is king for us. We know it's price. If we're down on a position, it's because we took the wrong position. It's our fault. We don't ship blame. We know we can't predict price, so it ain't about predicting price that makes money in this business. It's about managing risk. But yeah, I think those things work good for drama, right? It gets views, it gets clicks, so yeah. Thanks, I was overthinking it. No, that's okay. Do you got pants? Absolutely not. Never wear pants. It is a 77 mostly sunny day out in South Florida right now. Why would I have on pants? Absolutely not. It was cold though. Earlier this week, a couple times, it got chilly. Hell, it was 38 degrees 2 days ago. At night. But in Florida, once the sun pops out, that cold just goes away. The sun evaporates it. Annihilates it. So USD CAD putting in a nice move lower here. So it looks like we're going to have range resolution going into next week on USD CAD. So what did USD JPY do? Because I was in a USD JPY short earlier, but got stopped out of that position. Not today, but it still hasn't done anything. Yeah, you're going to need Japan strength. You're going to need yen strength to break this asset down. I don't think dollar strength is going to be good enough, because as long as the carry is out there, it's going to be a hard sell. To be short this asset literally costs money because of the carry. So yeah, I think I want to wait until an obvious downtrend forms before I start looking for shorts on USD JPY anymore. I think if I'm going to look for dollar short plays, I will look for dollar short plays on, well, USD CAD sounds like a really good one because we just got Canadian data and it was bad. It was terrible. Also, I am holding shorts on USD Swissy still. This trade has been paying money for a long time. There has been no reason for me to close it. And there is still no reason for me to close it. I'm short up here. So as long as it's way down here, I'm good to go. I'll keep it open. You're in a multi-week range here, so I would love to see some range resolution there. But for new positions, I think I will be focused pretty heavily on USD CAD. It's down here. And then maybe Euro dollar or pound dollar longs for USD weakness, but we haven't gotten a clear USD weakness signal yet. It's still struggling to break down here, but USD CAD looks good. USD CAD looks good. You are currently breaking down out of this range. Yeah. Next week, we'll probably be looking for dollar CAD shorts. at this week's open or back up at the yearly open. God forbid it pulls back that deep. It's still a very narrow range. You're still choppy. So I guess you really don't have range resolution on this yet. Euro USD also in a multi-week range. Pound dollar, funnily enough, is actually down today still. See, it's garbage like this that really has me concerned for dollar shorts. This thing looks like it wants to break down. It literally only liquidated yesterday's low, and so far that's where it's bounced. So going into next week, if this price can hold on retests, I might be able to get long pound dollar. But there's a big liquidation zone over here. That's last week's low. So if it's trading under one spot 344, I would leave it alone because it's probably coming to 343 to liquidate this price, and then we'll see what happens after that. If it continues to break down, we're not going to be wanting to look for dollar shorts. But USD CAD would have been a great little scalp today. I wish I would have got filled on that. Silver still has not stopped me out for some reason. It's going to. It looks like it's about to, but it still hasn't. It's just a matter of time at this point, right? It is definitely going to get stopped. Gold actually went back to the high of day already. Yeah, you're still trending to the upside here on gold, so I would assume gold will probably make higher highs, unless you get something that happened the other day on silver. The other day you were trending up on deltas, and for whatever reason, price just refused to break out. So dollar longs aren't quite out of the woods here just yet. They look good. It is higher lows. So it still looks like it wants to break. And with this volume trending, yeah, I would say it's just a matter of time. Here we go. Here we go. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody on questions. What do you think about ONDO? See, I missed that one. Country as a butterbean. I don't know what ONDO is. I've never traded it. I don't know if it's a stock or a crypto. It looks like a crypto. Let's look at it. And sorry for missing your question. I looked right over it. It looks rough. Is it a potential buy? I mean, you're at all-time lows. It doesn't look like you made all-time lows. 19,655. Yeah, you didn't make fresh all-time lows, but you're at all-time lows. Do I want to buy something that is downtrending? No. If you put in like a 4-month or a 5-month base here, then maybe you could make the argument that it's being accumulated. Right now, you cannot make that argument. Objectively speaking, this thing has been breaking down and trending lower every single month since September of 2025. So it is currently trending down. And for that reason, you should not be a buyer. For that reason alone. Now, if you can put a couple months together, sideways months, then we can discuss it again. Okay. Like so far right now, it's doing a good job on the weekly. You're starting to build a weekly range here. So it does look like support is trying to hold on the very near term. I wouldn't be looking for fresh shorts here. Obviously, the sellers have been trying to nuke it, and they are not winning. It is stuck. It feels like an exhaustive move could come, but it's going to take time. It's going to take time. So it is starting to build in support. I think it's still a little early though. Because to be fair, you did get above last week's high. So I would have wanted to see that continue, right? When you got up there, I would have loved that, and I would have wanted to see continuation. I would have wanted to see this price hold as support, or at the very minimum, the open of the prior week. And it just blasted right through both of those levels. So I think you're early. This is a bearish engulfing in a downtrend. Be careful buying it. It is still weak AF. Okay? Yeah, it's not something that I would want to buy. And we looked at Circle. I read that. Read that. Okay. Lunar Entity says he's surprised STG is still trading after the acquisition by Layer Zero. Yeah, I had no idea about any of that. Yeah, it's still trading. It's very thinly traded, so it's not like my favorite asset to trade. I like trading assets that have thick liquidity. I like to be able to get in and fill a big position instantly. I hate getting small fills. I'm being stopped out of silver right now. You just made fresh daily highs. So silver is breaking out again, which is what we expected if dollar rolled over. You still have that 4-hour divergence signal on the chart, so I'm sure people are trying to short it, but I don't think it's going to work out for them. Maybe later on today, if it gets exhausted or puts in a big downside move or something like that that shows exhaustion, maybe then we'll look again for potential short setups on it. But as of right now, it is too damn strong. This thing could go right back up to 85 on the RSI, and silver would be way back up into the 100s at that point. Remember, you could see 2 more 4-hour closes higher today. This is a legit breakout. It is, yeah, but there is that. So maybe it does get exhausted later on today. Who knows? But I am out of it. It'll probably roll over now. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to even try it because there's no point. The dollar is weak. I'm still in STG, but it did put in that lower low, but it's not trending. And Bitcoin isn't trending either. S&P has done a flat out reversal. So we'll have to see if the sellers show back up here or here. If they don't, S&P is probably going to close the day up. It's got to get back up to 68.95-ish on the futures to do that. But it is possible. Nvidia also put in a low of day. Tesla has reversed on the lows too. So Tesla could, I mean, it's Friday. If it wasn't Friday, this would be a short setup. But it is Friday, so it isn't a short setup. It's a higher weekly low. Your weekly low is down here. So this is just a higher low on the weekly. So it's not a good short setup. Please don't short Tesla here. It's a higher weekly low. So 2 points don't make a trend, 3 do. All right, 3 points make a trend. So I'm not putting the trend line up there to identify a trend change. I'm just showing you that that is definitely a higher weekly low. So everything is kind of, the big heavy sell side has died off, and we seen the yen strength was not there for continuation lower. Yeah, you would want to see like 0.7 or 0.8 on the yen to be a seller today on the S&P. You would want to see this thing strong. It isn't. It's neutral on the day. It isn't strong, it isn't weak. It's just an inside day. Without some kind of risk off, I would assume the VIX is getting beat up. It is. It's well off the highs. The VIX is back under last week's close. So if the VIX closes under this, you're going to have a lower close. This is last week's close right here. So that would be 2 consecutive lower weekly closes on the VIX if it closes lower today. That is a good sign, not a bad sign. That is a good sign. It could indicate that the fear is starting to leave the markets. Not the crypto markets. Crypto markets are still fearful. Extreme fear. This is still bad, modest loss tanking, deep unrealized losses, and then significant capital outflows. This should start changing because I can actually see capital inflows and outflows from spot ETFs right here on this website. They show you that data. And you can see this week, you have not seen significant outflows. The 23rd, which is Monday, we saw outflows, but they were not significant. Anything over 250 is I consider significant. 200 is pretty much on the edge of significant, but not quite there. You saw significant inflows Tuesday, massive inflows on Wednesday, Thursday, significant inflows, and then we'll get this data at the end of the day. So far so good on the flows. This is what we need to see in order to see that demand coming back into Bitcoin. So that's a good sign. The fact that Bitcoin isn't trending on day lows today is also a very good sign. You were earlier in the session. Very early on in the session, you were trending down, making fresh day low after fresh day low. But that has since stopped. And then right here's your 930 open. So this is your New York open. It's a higher low. And this is another higher low. It's not much to work with, but at least it's doing that. And as long as the S&P's done trending lower today, I would anticipate Bitcoin probably does bounce. So it is possible that it does close up today. It's got some work to do, but it is possible. So what does that mean for my STG short? Well, if it doesn't start to trend lower here in a minute, I'm going to bail on it. I'm not going to hold this over the weekend. Because like I said, my trading week ends on Friday at the close. So when Friday at the close happens, that's when my pay period stops. New weekly starts tonight at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. because time hasn't shifted yet. But when time shifts, it'll be 8. So that's when the new week starts. Going into the new week, I want to be fresh, all positions closed, and unless it's a good position, so it needs to start trending. If it starts trending, then I will leave it open. But if it just blocks up down here at support, I'm done with it. Because at any moment, bullish deltas can start showing back up here. You're still positive on deltas. It's slightly positive, but it is positive. So even though we did see sell side pressure come into the market, they have since backed off. Why? Well, this is the prior week high, right? Or it was this week's high. So you have a fresh higher weekly high. Your short sellers that took trades here are shedding those trades here. I don't want that to happen. If I think a continuation play is going to happen, I definitely want to see pressure at these areas. And we're not seeing any pressure here. So it does feel like this thing could bounce hard. It is still up on the day. This is just a pullback on the daily range. It's under the midpoint, so that's good. But like if you fib today's range, I bet you're holding still at like the 618. So it doesn't mean buyers are coming in yet. But it definitely does indicate that sellers started taking profits. Sellers started taking profits. If you got in this trade with me this morning, you should really consider taking profits on it. All right, let's go. It's Friday, almost time for a Coors. Absolutely. Well, I've still got several hours before I can do that, but you're right. And cheers to you, my friend. Cheers to you. If it's 5 o'clock for you, tear it up. I like beer. I like liquor. I like all of it. I don't party like I used to, obviously, but I still partake occasionally. I had a USD CAD short. It came 1 pip from target. Oh, came. I'm assuming you're missing an E there. Yeah, that always sucks. Then your trailer got stopped out, but I did take profits on the way down, so made money. Good. Yeah. We want to scale out when price starts moving in our direction, especially if you're day trading. That is absolutely what you want to do. Yeah, I didn't get filled. It didn't go up high enough to fill me. I was looking for that 4-hour supply retest. It didn't quite get there. But nonetheless, pound dollar's not breaking down here today, so we may look for dollar long positions on pound next week. So what you can look for, this is a huge support zone here for the pound. So we already spoke about it, but new people have since came into the live stream. If you're a Forex trader, or if you want to start participating in Forex, this is what I'm going to be looking for starting Sunday night during the Asian session. If the pound can liquidate this week's low and bounce, I will buy there. I will try a long there. Because in a sense, what you will do is you will liquidate this week's low and last week's low. So if the Asia buyers show up there, I will show up there as well. It's a very big level, and it looks like you're trying to close under the weekly 21. So it's not a great sign for strength, especially what happened earlier this week. You made a high and then you got hammered back down to the lows. So that's not a great sign. But If it can close today without liquidating last week's low, then that would be my long entry target. I would be looking for long entries there. But same scenario, when the Asian session opens and they start trading, I want to see them run it down. And I don't want to see it spend more than an hour or two under this level. I want to see it just go down and then come right back up. And then I want to see them build support. And I can look for longs here and I can put my stop there, right? I'm not talking about that price specifically, but if you're looking for entries at 134, 342, which you would be if you were taking the same trade, you would be putting a stop loss about 25 pips under your entry. That would give you some wiggle room. Not much, but some wiggle room for dollar weakness next week. With USD CAD, it's mostly CAD strength that's pushing the dollar or the USD CAD down. It isn't dollar weakness. The dollar isn't that weak today. All right. So the dollar hasn't really broken trend yet. The dollar is still poised for an upside run, which is what's been so frustrating lately on the dollar. It literally is refusing to break out and give us a trending move. Last week was a very strong week, and then this week it was absolute dog snot. It was garbage. It didn't do anything relevant. It's still holding support. Like, look at today. It is a pathetic, tiny, little itty bitty daily range. But that doesn't speak of weakness. But going into this Sunday Asian session open, you're going to have to be very cautious looking for pound dollar longs at the prior week's low. Because if this breaks out to the upside, pound dollar will get smoked. It will not hold those lows. It will break down and continue. So there are a few things that have to happen in order for that trade to work out. But I will be watching it. And that's also depending on what happens today. It's still kind of early in the session. It's 10:56. There's still many hours left on this. This thing could get sold off hard on a retest of the open. We don't know, right? We don't know what it's going to do. But I mean, 2 hours now, you've been fighting with the support, and it is not looking good for bears. I think silver and gold will probably get exhausted if the dollar breaks out to the upside. But right now, that don't look to be the case. I'm probably just going to leave silver and gold alone for a while. Might not even trade it at all next week. Because there's obviously something else going on here. So with them breaking out, I would say more than likely the dollar probably maybe does get sold off later on today. So basically that would be a potential position on long euro dollar or long pound dollar today, but they're not setting up. It didn't look to me like they were setting up. Yeah, you're well off the open down here. So I don't like that. Euro dollar is the one that has the most. It's the biggest weighting inside the DXY. So yeah, I mean, if it could hold the open, maybe longs on euro dollar. It just held the open, so that would have been a potential long entry there. Would I trust an entry on a 30-minute demand zone? Not really, but it could potentially be an upside scalp today. Since gold and silver are currently breaking out with no signs of slowing down. because that is happening. One could theoretically put a position like this on. But I think we're going to be late for that. I'm not going to put this trade on. Especially not with it up here, because obviously this would have been the best place to look for longs today. 1.17972. There's no way I'm chasing it all the way up here. That would give you a very bad risk to reward. You would need a fresh day high. Hell, you would need a fresh 2-day high in order to just take profits. So, and then obviously I don't know that I would even take the trade if it grinded this level all day. If it just sat down here and just chopped back and forth, I would leave it alone. Got a new week coming up starting Sunday. So there will be more opportunities next week for sure. We don't have to rush into anything today. All right. I am long Aussie dollar as of this morning. I haven't looked at Aussie dollar in a long ass time. Let's go look at it. With gold and silver breaking out today, I would not doubt it at all if Aussie dollar isn't also. And it is up. It is looking good and strong today. Yeah, it's trying to break out here. I mean, this thing it's obviously getting all of its strength from gold and silver. A long time ago, I used to look for gold and silver strength or weakness to trade Aussie dollar, but then it like kind of backed off there for a while to where like they were not even slightly correlated. But it seems like since gold and silver have literally exploded, that correlation has come right back. Because if you look at Aussie dollar, I mean, the bull market and gold started early 2025, right? Right there is your 2025 yearly open for Aussie. It was up last year. It's up this year. So it seems to be positively correlated to gold now. As long as gold and silver are strong, it makes sense to look for Aussie dollar longs. I mean, it's a clean trend. Very, very clean. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's Monday. So that would have been your prior week low. That would have been a very easy place to mitigate risk for long side entries. Obviously, it's cherry picked, but this is what we do. Like, it's literally the same level that I operate around all the time. The STG short came from a weekly level. So it is hindsight and cherry picked, but I would have put a long on there. And then you had a couple days of upside, and then you went into a big sideways range up here. This was a whole nother week of absolute chop fest. But that's your Friday, that's your weekly low. So going into this week, I would have been watching that price. Obviously, I would not have gotten filled. But yeah, it looks okay. If gold and silver, for whatever reason, reject today and you see like a nasty sell side move later on this evening, then I would assume Aussie dollar probably would experience something similar. So make sure your stops are out and mitigated on Aussie dollar. But looking at the chart, it looks fine. It looks good for upside continuation. Going back here, I mean, there's obvious resistance up here. You're going to have resistance there. Just like you had resistance last month up here. So people will be looking to put sell trades on up there. I wouldn't necessarily, but maybe on the first break and failure, if that could happen, I might look for a downside scalp real quick. But I wouldn't have a sell side bias. I would definitely have an upside bias. And if you do get up there, it'll literally be the first time in a long time for years that you've been there. So Aussie dollar does look okay. It does look okay. And I would definitely have a bullish bias on it for sure. But I would be looking to buy prior week lows or at a bare minimum prior day lows. Already took a partial, he said. Good job. XRP yesterday broke the level we were talking about and is going lower now. Yeah. Okay, so I get it. You might be upset that you closed it. Like, whenever you get in a trade, try just taking partial profits. Don't just close the whole position down. I take either 2/3 or 75% of the position. So when I open a scalp for a day trade, if I anticipate that there could be more opportunity in the trade, don't close the whole thing down. Take your profits, pay yourself, so that way no matter what happens, you can't lose money. Obviously, you will be risking the unrealized P&L at that point. But that unrealized P&L will sometimes, especially when you nail big trends, can go on to pay you for weeks and even months into the future, as you're seeing today. But let's pull that up and we'll discuss it for anybody that wasn't here yesterday. So basically, what Jewelry Affairs did yesterday was they took a breakdown trade. They got filled at 143 on a short. Because it was trading into support, I suggested that they take profits, move their stop to break even, and then see what happens, because it was testing support. And as you can see, support held for many hours. These are 4-hour candles, 4, 8, 12, 16 hours. That support zone held. So at that point, it's literally a flip of the coin to see who's going to be right. So now, obviously, you know now, because we're in the future, that the sellers won out this battle. Or at least price went lower looking for more demand, right? Whether it's sellers causing the move or whether it's price looking for demand, it doesn't matter. It went lower. You would be in a nice position here. And no reason to close it. No reason at all to close it. The next time when you take a trade, just take a partial and see if that works out better for you. For some people, it will not. It will not work out better. For some people, taking complete position fills is the best thing to do. It just depends on what kind of person you are. For me, my data shows me that I am one of the people that do better when I take partials. So that's what I do, especially on a day trade, because on a single day trade, I'm not anticipating a lot anyways. I'm only looking for about a 2.5-3% move in my direction. And in crypto, I know a 2.5-3% move sounds big in stocks, but it isn't big in crypto. That would be a massive move in Forex. But in crypto, especially some of the assets we keep on watch, those things can move 5-10% in a day. Easily. So on a 3% move, I'm taking profits, moving my stop to break even. This way, if I catch a trending move, I can leave that position open indefinitely, because the only thing I'm risking at that point is unrealized P&L. Now, obviously, when the unrealized gains gets large, you're going to start questioning, should I take more or should I leave it alone? That will be all up to you, right? There is no dead set levels that you should do this or do that. No, because I've literally let trades go and been in them for an entire quarter or 3 solid months. I nailed Q4's open on Euro USD. I bought Euro USD in Q4 2024. Well, Q4 went up all quarter. It just went straight up. I nailed all of that. And then I turned around and took a... The first trade, Q4 was a short on Euro dollar. Q4 2024 was a short. Then I bought it in Q1 2025. So back to back. I nailed 3 months of downside and then 3 months of upside. I know it sounds crazy, like it's impossible. It is. It isn't. I was literally watching the quarterly open. So it was very simple to mitigate risk at the quarterly open. You know what I mean? It was simple. So in those scenarios, obviously leaving them open paid out. And they paid out in a big way. So here's the Q4 2024 open. I shorted it here. I nailed that entire move. So from 111 down to 103. Then I closed it because we were going into Q1 2025 and I had a dollar bearish bias because we were going to start cutting interest rates. As you can see, there was a period where it traded much deeper than the open, right? Down in here is where I took entry on the long, and then it shot up, and I was in this the entire quarter. So 6 months, 2 trades. Fantastic trades. Obviously, leaving it open in Q2 would have been a better trade, but I didn't make it there. I think I got out right here because it was resistance, obviously. So yeah, sometimes just leaving a small piece open can do amazing things, especially if you're getting in and around a quarterly open. So here is Euro USD right now. It looks like it's a swing high failure pattern, but it's still more bullish than bearish. You're trading above that Q resistance, but there's 1 month and 5 days left. So next month, at the end of next month, you're going to go into a whole new quarter. There are a lot of traders that only position themselves around quarter opens, and they do just fine. Like it's a matter of time frame. But yeah, obviously I wish you would have been able to keep at least a little piece open, because what if it does break down and go much lower? Yeah. But I mean, the good thing about intra-week scalping is you're always going to have another opportunity to look for another entry. So some people would rather just take 1 day trade and get out of that same trade that day, carry no overnight risk. That's the best thing to do for some people. And then again, some people are looking for a larger move. So if you're looking for a multiple day run, then obviously you're going to want to be taking partials only. But yeah, good. It was a good trade nonetheless. Lunar Entity says, surprised to find a couple commodities investors I like in the island directory. Crazy world. Yeah, I don't do much commodity investing except for like precious metals, because most commodities are very sideways and choppy like currencies. Now, a commodity can go absolutely apeshit like cocoa did. Cocoa went absolutely ballistic, but it was a supply shock. That's why it went absolutely ballistic. There was a massive supply shock. And then cocoa literally took off. Back then, that's when Hershey's and everybody else that, operate businesses around this commodity had to shrink the size of their candy bars and do all kinds of fancy ways of getting this product into their product. So that's one reason why I don't invest in commodities. You almost have to basically keep an eye on what's going on inside of that space. Gold and silver were pretty much easy because one of the big banks published a report that they were back in 2024, early in 2024. I'm almost 100% positive I reposted that in the Discord, but it was a big bank. It was Bank of America. They saw unusual buying taking place from central banks across the world. So they essentially published a long gold silver report based on central banks accumulating early 2024. That turned out to be a very correct position. Yeah. Now, obviously, we won't know if they're still accumulating those commodities moving forward, but we do know that there are a lot of electric car companies and other companies that require silver to build their products. They're obviously going to want prices down. Gold is different. The gold is bought purely based on an inflation hedge or a hedge against, inflation. The government inflating their money away. But, I mean, obviously, if the central banks are still hoarding and accumulating, then prices can still continue to go up. And I've seen no signs, at least fundamentally, that are going to cause China to start easing up on that. And if China buys, then obviously the U.S. has to buy, because the U.S. can't allow any other nation to have more gold than it does. That would cause a massive issue for them. So those are two central banks right there that could literally keep buying gold and silver. I just don't know if they are. I haven't seen any new reports. If I get the report, I will make it public. But I mean, all you got to do is follow a big banks. They'll let you know. They post stuff like that all the time. But yeah, cocoa has come way down. Now, since this, you did see, like I said, Hershey and them, I guarantee you they have not adjusted for this part of the chart. I bet their candy bars are still smaller, and I bet they're still using less cocoa. And I guarantee you are paying just as much, if not more, now than even back here in March of 2024. Though that's the stuff that never shows up in reports. Inflation goes up, everybody adjusts their prices for higher inflation, and they never drop them, even if inflation goes back down. The only people that have to are gas companies. Everybody else, like eggs and everything else, that stuff, it seems like it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. But it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Because those are soft commodities, right? And we can look at all the prices. I don't know the tickers to all of that stuff, but Bar Chart does. Barchart.com, it's a free website. You can click right here on futures. You can go to Commitment of Traders report. And then here is all of your tickers. All of your futures tickers right here. Down here is financial traders or financial reports, currencies. All right, your currency futures, your bond markets, index products like S&P, NASDAQ, grains, wheat, corn, soybean, like all these things. I do not invest in this stuff. Crude oil was spiking today, but I'm assuming that's because of whatever caused the risk markets to bounce today. I mean, fall, not bounce, but you know what I mean. They were moving. They were moving to the downside. Silver was breaking out. It has since come off a little bit here. Oil, not silver. Oil is literally potentially changing a macro trend. It's already been bullish for the last 5 weeks. Now, obviously, longer term, these moving averages still look very bad. So it's going to take a lot to keep oil above 70, but it has been bullish. This is the rotation trade that we've been talking about for weeks now. We saw the rotations out of growth in the value. Well, whenever that happens, oil will get a bounce. It'll just experience flows, because whenever there's any kind of risk or head risk, people will flow into oil. So maybe if you know a lot about macroeconomics, you can get positioned in oil. But for these softs like sugar, cocoa, coffee, orange juice, coffee is still, I buy chock full of nuts coffee at Publix for, a normal size, not the small can, but a medium sized can right now at Publix is $18. $18. Coffee did spike. This is a 3-year chart. So it did spike, but it has since come off. Why is coffee still absolutely insanely priced? I don't know, but it ain't right. Yeah, we pay for all that stuff. Where's eggs? I don't know if eggs are actually even a... Yeah, I don't guess it is, but... Milk? I guess not. Oh, right there. So live cattle, feeder cattle, lean hogs, class 3, milk, non-fat dry milk, butter cash, settled, and cheese cash settled. And then wheat, corn, soybeans. So yeah, I don't want to invest in these things, because companies are constantly trying to get these prices down, right? Like, well, now 4 major companies pretty much run everything. They've almost priced the farmer out of the business. Yeah, the big 4 foods, man, it's crazy how they've taken over. And because there's 4 companies that run everything, that they can't really get them for a monopoly. But you're buying the same stuff. Even if you're buying a different label, it's coming from the same company, generally speaking. Your big box stores like Walmart and Publix and Kroger and Costco, they all buy from one of those 4, but they're all the same. So you might be able to get different brands from different stores, but you're buying the same product. You're not buying anything different. Unless you're buying like at a farmer's market and the guy you're buying chickens from, he wraps them himself. Unless you're buying like that, you're literally buying food from one of the big 4. Every big chain restaurant buys their food from them. Every grocery store gets their food from them. They control the market. There is a big lawsuit right now going on because of price fixing, but that will take 50 years to go through. Yeah. All right, so Bitcoin did try to make a fresh daily low just a little bit ago. I still have not, STG still has not done anything. So I'm probably going to bail on this position pretty soon. I am in it roughly about here. It's a 6% move. That's a good trade. It's about $400 worth of profit on a $368 position size. So basically I made 100% on this trade. A 100% return on equity used. It had 20x leverage. There's the short. And yeah, I mean, it's there's not any big support here, but it's this candle's open. That's what's causing the support. That candle dominates the range. That candle is support. If you wanted to short ETH today, entry at 1757, is that good to go in? Okay, so I wouldn't. It's Friday. Okay, but let me go look. So I like up here is where the short should have been taken. It would have been a very difficult trade to short with that price exploding to the upside, but if you look here, you can see that 4-hour resistance held. So that would have been a much better place to look for shorts, or here. Once you started closing 4-hour candles back under your monthly VWAP, maybe then look for a resistance test, which is now here because that is now the highest closing 4-hour candle. So until you close a 4-hour candle above this, that is your resistance. You got a retest of that last night. That would have been the short to put on. So taking a short down here to me doesn't make sense, because this is what I would have been trying to get. I would have been short here. This would have been take profit, or this would have been take profit, depending on how big of a move. I would have been looking for 2%. So my take profit would have been this candle's low or somewhere in it. So I would have been looking for shorts here, scaling out here. So it doesn't really make sense for me to put on shorts down here. You're trading at the daily low. So basically, to get short here at the daily low, that means you're anticipating that this candle can move this much further lower today. So you're looking for a move all the way down to here, potentially. Or you would need a move all the way down to there, potentially. Unless you're only looking for 2%. But you're going to need to add 2% onto the size of the range already, which is a 4% move. There is a good indicator called an average true range that will show you whether or not it's a good price to take a short. The average true range. I have it as my favorites. It's right here. Basically, this will give you a 14-day trailing average. So right now, the average is about 130. 130. So that means in an average daily range, you could get about 130 points out of the range on an average day. So from the open, yeah, this is about average. Now, if you add the day's high on there, you've already done this. I just went from the open. If you go from today's high to where you are, you're already well above the average day move. So probabilities suggest looking for shorts here will not pay. Okay? If you're struggling understanding that concept, use this indicator and do what I just did there. It just simply will keep you out of bad trades moving forward. There's no way I would be shorting down here. No. But you specifically said a price, 1757. I have, we're at 19. So what do you mean? Wait for it to get down here and look for the short? No, I mean, not today. Obviously, you're not going to get down there today, but I mean, if you're looking for a breakdown short, then yeah. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I don't trade like that. I don't look for breakouts or breakdowns. I'm trying to nail the range. Like, I want to anticipate where I think it's going to go before it goes there. So that way, if it goes there, I can start scaling out. But, I mean, we don't know that ETH is going to ever test 1750 again. It could, obviously, but I mean, you would need a lot of weakness, and depending on how, like, there's a lot of factors that would go into an entry down there. But I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, if it breaks down below this low with a lot of momentum, you could see a much larger move lower. Yeah. You absolutely could. That would be a fresh yearly low. So we're 2 months, almost, we're getting ready to start the third month of the year. Right? I don't think there are 14 years here, are there? Nope. 10. But we could get an ATR on 10, on the average of the 10. It won't even let me pull up the settings. Let me do this. There we go. Let's get an average on the 10 that we have. We'll go 9. Oh, it won't give us that either. It's not going to give it. Yeah, I mean, there you go. 1730. Let's just see from high to low where 1730 is. That's what you got right now. I don't know. Yeah, use the ATR. It's a good indicator. Can keep you out of bad stuff, man. Wrong screen. Oh, that's what's going on. My bad. Thank you. Damn it. I gotta do all that again. All right. So on Ethereum, you can see we're nowhere near 17. We're at 1941. So there's no way I'd want to put a short on down here at 1730. Unless you're breaking down. Well, I thought you were asking about today. There is no trade to make today. You're nowhere near there. So yeah, if it breaks down below that low, it's a fresh yearly low. You could, in theory, see much lower prices. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a breakdown trader, you could try it. I think you'd be better off to just get in a short soon if you are anticipating lower prices. I wouldn't suggest today or tomorrow because obviously you've already ran the extent of the range today. There really isn't a whole lot more downside that unless you get like unless some kind of news comes out today that's really bad or negative for crypto, I would assume most of them have ran their course. Like they're basically about done. They'll probably just chop sideways for the rest of the day, maybe give you a little bit lower or end up closing up in here somewhere today, right? The range is pretty much done. And when I was using what I was doing on the daily with the ATR is just simply pull up the ATR. It's right here, average true range. It'll give you your trailing 14-day average. ATR 14. Let me make sure it is. It is. Okay, perfect. Boom, boom, good. So we know by looking at this that the average 14 days, you're getting about a 133 point move in a daily range. So if you were shorting today's high on Ethereum when it was making the high of day, up here at Daily Res, right? If you were looking for shorts here on Ethereum today, this morning, or whenever it tagged it, you would have had about a 130 point move you would have been looking for, right? So right here is a 127 points. So on the ATR, that is exactly one standard deviation. So that's how you can use an ATR to get profit targets. Maybe don't use the daily ETR, maybe use like an 8-hour ATR. I think an 8-hour ATR would be a good intraday profit target for most people. Maybe paper test it first. Don't use real funds to test it until you get a hang of how these things actually work. So anything else expected in today's range would be way on the outside edge of probabilities. If you look at probabilities as a bell curve, if this is your probability scale, which it is, this is how trading works. This is how we trade. We want to take our trades in this part. We want to look for either up moves from this area to this area or down moves from this area to this area, because we know price will trade in this area 67% of the time. Price will get to these far edges like 2-3% of the time. So by looking at 127 points, if you would have shorted today and put on a 130 point target, that would have had you looking for a profit target way on the very edge of what is probable. So it would have been much better to maybe split that in half, and instead of looking for like 130, look for half of that, and that would be your take profit. This would be your entry, this would be your scale out. And then you would be operating in this probability curve or bell curve. That's where you want to focus. And you can see it on options tables and things like that. But yeah, we always want to be operating inside of what can happen, not way on the outskirts, because those trades very rarely will work out. Wrong screen. Thank you for telling me that. I'm such a dummy when it comes to that. Sorry, your ETH chart was not on yet. Now I'm going to see about 30 comments saying, get off the wrong chart, you dumbass. We can't see what you check. Yep, got it. Got it. All right. Wait, PZBCN is making moves up 30% to 595K. MC was at 50K. MC, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I bet I can't even pull that ticker symbol up on this charting platform. It's probably on some random exchange. PZ BCN. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Yeah, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies moving today, and the low float, low cap, low float stuff, it's going to move a lot potentially. Yeah, I wouldn't be trading that stuff. That stuff is super risky. Nvidia is still just doing the same thing. So is Tesla. Silver is broken out twice and is pulling back. Euro dollar still, actually euro dollar is moving, but yeah, it did retest that 30-minute supply or demand zone and it bounced. So dollar's breaking down. Yeah, that's going to help silver and gold stay strong today. Be careful. STG still isn't doing anything. S&P is retesting the day open. I don't know that I would be looking for fresh S&P shorts today here. Actually, this is the day open, I think. According to this, it's way up here, so I don't know what I was looking at there. This, I bet you that's that 4-hour open. Yeah. It was down here like that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't anticipate a big drop, but anything can happen. News could come out and cause these things to take off to the downside. Dollar is still rolling, and that's going to help pound in euro. USD CAD looks like it's trying to make a fresh day low. That trade would have been a beautiful little scalp had I got into it. Dollar still looks, or oil still looks okay here. But since the dollar is weakening up, maybe that's what's going on up there. You're into monthly resistance up there. And I don't really see anything else. I can't trade piece. I can't even pull that up on weeks. Yeah, PZBCN. Are you a bot? I don't even know that you're a real person. PZB. That doesn't even pop up on weeks. So you would have to trade that on some crazy random exchange. We operate on, I mean, offshore exchanges, some of them, but they're mostly legit exchanges. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Yeah, so if you're still in STG with me, I am going to probably close it down if it doesn't start to trend soon to the downside. If it just stays stationary here at 1432, I'm probably going to bounce. I'm just going to take all the money that I have on it and run. Just going to add to the weekly gains. This week was a good week. Last week, not so much. So, yeah, that's how it works. Some weeks will be good, some weeks won't. Nvidia, it is back under the yearly open. It is at support down here. That is a weekly swing low. Ooh, it actually might be a monthly swing low now. No, it isn't. Okay. That's actually an intraday swing low. I mean, pre-market, so that won't even show up on the weekly or monthly chart, but you're into a support swing. You have a monthly low down here. This could also be support. So we're going to need a bounce back up into resistance, up into here. So next week on Nvidia, we'll monitor and see what it does. On the weekly range itself, it's not quite a bearish engulfing, but it doesn't have to go much lower, and it will be a bearish engulfing weekly close. You have not been able to close a 21 under the 21 since back here. So next week could be a very choppy week like you got that week after. So big day kind of here on Nvidia. Big close. This will be huge. That means you're under the 21 day, which is not a good thing. So a lot of people will be looking for gap fill retests next week to open fresh short positions. You're not really trending here, so looking for trend trades might not work out. We kind of need Nvidia to break down below this trend line, so that way we can objectively say it is breaking down. We could look for lower prices, but you got to go much further to get there. So next week, we'll see what Nvidia does at the beginning of the week, and then we'll take it from there. Tesla, it did bounce this morning at the week open, and it did roll over. I would not have shorted it there. Not today. If this would have been like on Tuesday or Wednesday, that would have been different. But not today. It is rejecting. Tesla is bearish. It is in a bearish structure. You are making... you're not making a fresh yearly low yet, but this is your yearly low on Tesla. Wait, no, it isn't. Sorry. There we go. There is your yearly low on Tesla. So you are trending to the downside. This was a lower high and another lower high. It just hasn't been able to break down and start making fresh yearly lows yet. If that happens, then Tesla could start a big trend. We did bounce strongly on one of these tech plays we were looking at buying, Netflix. So yeah, they canceled the deal with Warner Brothers. Apparently the market liked that. So we were looking for longs back here last week or the week prior to last week. So now that trade is actually working. It wasn't working and it started to hurt down here, but it did ultimately bounce strongly the last 3 days. It was massively oversold. I was anticipating a move like this, not this big though. But I was anticipating a move back up to $84 at a bare minimum. And it's broken way out above that. This is where sellers will show back up on Netflix again. $99.28. If you fail to trend higher on Netflix up into here, then Netflix might not be done yet. But as far as the indicator is concerned, you've already hit massively oversold. When that happens, that's when you want to start adding these things to long-term holds. So now we're just waiting for Bitcoin to do something like this, and MicroStrategy to do something like this. A lot of people think that they won't, but I'm here to tell you they will. It's just a matter of time. I don't know where it will happen from or when it will happen, but I do know eventually you will see a big bounce. It will happen. This thing has been massively oversold on the weekly time frame for a long time. So anybody that wants or is predicting more upside on MicroStrategy, they are buying. And they have been buying for some time now. So a bounce will be coming. Eventually there will be an aggressive pop. And then we'll have to see what happens after that. But at least we are making a fresh low on STG. So that's good. Well, not yet, not according to this, but on weeks you're down on the 4-hour low. Yeah, you're on it here too. So we'll see what this does, but I'm going to wrap it up. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure you guys trade safe, trade smart, and as always, happy trading, everybody.